Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US prepares for action against Nigeria after Trump flags persecution of Christians. Nigeria rejects claims of religious intolerance, vows to fight extremism. Multiple people stabbed on train near UK's Cambridge. 2 suspects arrested. Prime Minister Starmer calls the incident deeply concerning.
Guys suddenly run past, going, run, run. There's a guy stabbing literally everyone, everything.
Countdown begins for launch of India's heaviest communication satellite. CMS-3 from Sriharikota aims to provide services over a wide oceanic region, including the Indian landmass. And in women's cricket, India aims for its maiden World Cup title against South Africa in Mumbai today. On Saturday, US President Donald Trump stated that he had asked Defense Department to prepare for possible military action in Nigeria if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killings of Christians. Trump announced that the US will cut all aid to Nigeria and may carry out military strike against the Islamic terrorists responsible for atrocities. Meanwhile, Nigeria vowed to keep fighting violent extremism and expressed hope for continuous American support after Trump placed the country on a watch list over threats to Christians. Earlier on Friday, Trump reinstated Nigeria on the US countries of particular concern list for religious freedom violations, undoing Biden's 2021 decision to remove it from the list. Meanwhile, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Department of War is preparing for action in Nigeria if the Nigerian government fails to protect Christians amid reports of violence in the country. Hegseth's post came after US President Donald Trump said he had asked the department to prepare for possible fast military action in the West African country. On Friday, Nigeria was placed on the US countries of particular concern list for alleged religious freedom violations, alongside nations like China, Myanmar, North Korea, Russia, and Pakistan. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country and largest oil producer, has struggled with violent extremism, particularly from Islamist militant groups. Let's now turn to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. With escalation of the war, Kiev has sent special forces to eastern city of Pokrovsk amid Moscow's offensive. Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky stated that a major operation is going on to drive the Russian forces out of Pokrovsk, with special operation units active in the city under his orders. Syrsky added Pokrovsk is facing intense pressure from a large Russian force, but denied claims that the city has been encircled, insisting there is no blockade and that Ukrainian logistics are still functioning. Earlier this week, Kiev reported that a major Moscow offensive with hundreds of Russian soldiers infiltrating Pokrovsk, a key logistics hub, while additional forces are moving towards its outskirts in pincer movement. The capture of Pokrovsk could as well provide a major propaganda boost for the Kremlin, which has rebuffed US calls to halt its nearly 4-year conflict and instead pushed forward with its ground assault. Meanwhile, a Russian strike set ablaze a shop in Ukraine's southeastern Dnipropetrovsk region, killing 2 people and injuring several others, according to the region's administration. Nearly 60,000 people were deprived of power supply after Russia's overnight air attack on Ukraine's frontline region of Zaporizhia, while 2 people were killed in the southern region of Odessa. As winter nears, Russia has stepped up missile and drone strikes on Ukraine's power grid, triggering outages and forcing Kiev's emergency crews to race to repair damage and manage rolling blackouts. Zaporizhia endures nearly daily Russian artillery, missile and drone strikes, that have destroyed homes, crippled utilities, killed scores as Moscow pressures Ukraine's defenses and disrupts links between the south and the rest of the country. In other news, an Israeli strike in southern Lebanon killed 4 people on Saturday as Israel ramped up attacks, raised fears for a nearly year-long truce with Hezbollah. Despite a November 2024 ceasefire with the Lebanese militant group, Israel maintains troops in 5 areas in southern Lebanon and has kept up regular airstrikes claiming to target Hezbollah. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun had called for talks with Israel in mid-October after President Donald Trump of the US brokered a ceasefire in Gaza. But Aoun has accused Israel of responding to his call to come to the negotiating table by stepping up its strikes on his country. Hezbollah first began launching cross-border fire at Israel following the outbreak of the conflict in Gaza in October of 2023. That set off a more than year-long conflict that culminated in 2 months of open conflict before last year's ceasefire was agreed. Syrian President Ahmad Shara will visit Washington, D.C. U.S. Special Envoy to Syria Tom Barrack informed on Saturday in what would be the first visit by a Syrian head of state to the U.S. capital. The visit will occur around November 10th, according to a White House official. According to U.S. State Department's historical list of foreign leaders' visits, no previous Syrian president has paid an official visit to Washington. Shara addressed the UN General Assembly in New York in September this year. Since seizing power from Bashar al-Assad last December, Shara had made a series of foreign trips as his transitional government seeks to re-establish Syria's ties with world powers that has shunned Damascus during Assad's rule. US is pushing for security agreement to be reached with Israel by the time Shara visits Washington. U.S. Special Envoy to Syria Tom Barrack informed that Syria and Israel were close to reaching an agreement but declined to say when exactly the deal could be reached. Israel and Syria have been Middle East adversaries for decades. Despite the overthrow of the Assad regime last December, territorial disputes and deep-seated political mistrust between the two countries remain. Continuing crackdown on drug vessels in Caribbean, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth informed on Saturday that U.S. military conducted a lethal strike on a vessel operated allegedly by a drug trafficking organization in Caribbean, killing 3 men aboard. The operation, directed by President Trump, had been carried out in international waters. It targeted a vessel known to be carrying narcotics along a smuggling route. With no U.S. forces harmed, Hegseth said in a post on X. The Defense Secretary shared a video to describe the moment of the deadly strike on the boat. Members of a U.S. congressional committee investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case have intensified their calls for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to answer questions about his ties to the late financier and sex offender. King Charles stripped Andrew of his title of prince and evicted him from his mansion in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Thursday, responding to the outrage that had built around the royal over years of damaging headline about his behavior. Buckingham Palace said the censures were needed, even though Andrew has continued to deny the allegations made against him. In the US, the King's move led to more calls for Andrew to reveal all he knows about Epstein, particularly in the light of expression of sympathy of victims of abuse in the Thursday statement from the palace. A federal court in Rhode Island on Saturday ordered the Trump administration to make full food aid benefit payments by Monday or partial payments by Wednesday, while acknowledging the irreparable harm that exists without their timely payment. The Rhode Island case is one of the 2 lawsuits filed to block the U.S. Department of Agriculture's suspension of Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, known as SNAP, or food stamps. In a ruling issued on Friday, Judge John J. McConnell of the U.S. District Court for District of Rhode Island rejected the USDA's argument that it could not fund SNAP because of ongoing federal shutdown. McConnell's Saturday order gave President Donald Trump's administration a Monday deadline to present a plan to pay full benefits on that day, or at least partial payments in a couple of days. At the end of Friday's hearing, McConnell said the administration's decision not to tap over $5 billion in contingency funds to fund November benefits was arbitrary. Moving on, in a tragic incident in the United Kingdom, multiple people were stabbed on a passenger train in Cambridgeshire. Armed police were at the scene after being alerted around 1940 GMT. The train was stopped at Huntington, a market town near East England. 2 people have been arrested and the investigation is underway. British Transport Police said counter-terrorism police were supporting its investigation while it worked to establish the full circumstances of the motivation for the incident. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said in a post on X, and I quote, "The appalling incident on a train near Huntington is deeply concerning. My thoughts are with all those affected and my thanks to the emergency services for their response. Anyone in the area should follow the advice of the police," unquote. And eyewitnesses described the scenes of panic and confusion, saying they initially thought it was a Halloween prank, but quickly realized the severity of the incident.
We didn't quite know what. And then a minute or so later, a man comes running down with a very clear wound, bleeding quite badly on his arm. And I thought it was like some sort of Halloween prank at first. But then he's shouting that someone's got a knife, he was stabbed. And then a few more people come running down the train.
I had guys suddenly run past going, run, run. There's a guy stabbing literally everyone, everything. At first, there was a few of us kind of looking at each other like thinking, was it a joke, like it's Halloween, I'd be pranking. But then you could kind of see in their faces they were being serious.
At least 21 people have been confirmed dead. 31 others remain missing after a devastating landslide hit Kenya's Marakwet East region early on Saturday morning following heavy rains. A multi-agency search and rescue operation involving the military, police and humanitarian agencies is underway to locate the missing persons. Interior Cabinet Secretary of Kenya, who visited the affected site, said 25 people had been rescued. They're receiving medical care. He urged residents to move to higher ground and avoid landslide-prone areas as rains continue to batter the region. Authorities have established reporting desk for missing persons while emergency teams continue to dig through the debris. Jamaican officials have announced plans to set up multiple field hospitals as the country recovers from Hurricane Melissa, with the death toll now over 50 across the Caribbean. Jamaica has confirmed 19 deaths so far, but officials say the actual number could be higher as some areas remain difficult to reach. Haiti's Civil Protection Department has reported at least 31 deaths due to the storm. Melissa struck Jamaica as Category 5 hurricane with 185 miles per hour winds, the most powerful storm ever recorded on the island, and drenched the country with torrential rains. Hospitals in Western Jamaica were badly impacted. The first field hospital is expected to arrive in Black River, fully equipped with an operating theatre, diagnostic equipments. More field hospitals are also expected with support from the World Health Organization, countries including Spain, Canada and India. Record heavy rains and flooding in central Vietnam this week have killed 35 people. Disaster management officials informed on Sunday, with 5 more still missing in the deluge. Heavy rains has pummeled Vietnam's coastal provinces since last weekend, with a record of up to 1.7 meters falling over 24 hours spanning last Sunday and Monday. Hua An's ancient town, that is UNESCO's World Heritage Site, has been inundated with waist-deep waters, with residents navigating city by wooden boats after a major local river overflowed at 60-year high and rains continuing on Sunday. Still to come on this edition of TD India Live. Prime Minister Modi on a campaign trail in Bihar today. Bahrain's Foreign Minister Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani arriving in New Delhi on a 2-day visit. And it's King Khan's birthday today. SRK turns 60. To poets, it was paradise. To the stars, their mirror. To India, it was Avantika, Ujjaini or Ujjain. The city of poetry and time. Watch special episode of Forever Cities on Ujjain, only on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. President Draupadi Murmu is on a visit to the northern Himalayan state of Uttarakhand from today till 4th of the month. President was received by Governor of Uttarakhand, Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh and Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami upon her arrival in Dehradun. President Draupadi Murmu took part in the convocation of University of Patanjali in Haridwar as the chief guest. With political parties ramping up campaigning efforts ahead of the upcoming Bihar Assembly polls, Bharatiya Janata Party leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Bihar on Sunday for a packed day-long election campaigning featuring multiple rallies and a grand roadshow in capital Patna. In view of Bihar elections, the Election Commission of India has directed senior officials of the states of Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal to ensure heightened vigilance in areas bordering the state with enhanced checks at interstate posts to monitor movements of people, materials and money. The election in the state will be conducted in two phases on 6th and 11th November this year. The counting of votes will take place on 14th of November. The Indian Space Research Organisation ISRO is all set for the launch of its heaviest communication satellite CMS-3 from Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Andhra Pradesh's Sriharikota today. ISRO said the over 43-metre tall rocket has been fully assembled, integrated with the satellite and moved to the second launch pad for the final pre-launch checks. The liftoff is scheduled for 5:26 p.m. IST today. November second mission marks the fifth operational flight of LVM-3. ISRO's last mission using this rocket was Chandrayaan-3 launch, which successfully landed near the lunar South Pole in 2023, making India the first country to achieve the feat. CMS-3 satellite, a multi-band communication satellite, aims to provide services over a wide oceanic region, including Indian landmass. The upcoming launch underscores ISRO's growing capability to deploy large and complex communication satellites using its own heavy-lift vehicles. Union Minister of State for External Affairs, Pavitra Margareta, is scheduled to embark on a visit to three countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, Ecuador, Bolivia and Cuba, from 4th to 10th of November. During his visit, Minister of State is expected to meet the political leadership in these countries and discuss issues of mutual interest and review progress in bilateral ties. He is also scheduled to interact with representatives from business and the Indian community. While in Ecuador, he will review preparations for establishing resident Indian mission in Quito. During his visit to Bolivia, Minister Margareta is scheduled to represent Government of India at the inauguration of newly elected President of plurinational state of Bolivia on 8th November in the administrative capital La Paz. In Cuba, the minister would be discussing strengthening bilateral ties, including in areas of health, medicine, digital public infrastructure and capacity building. Bahrain's Foreign Minister Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Thani will be arriving in New Delhi today for a two-day visit. During his visit, the minister will meet External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. The visit comes after Dr. Jaishankar visited Bahrain in December last year. During last year's visit, S. Jaishankar co-chaired the fourth meeting of the India-Bahrain High Joint Commission. India and Bahrain enjoy excellent bilateral ties characterized by cordial political, economic, cultural and people-to-people contacts. The minister will depart from India tomorrow. Saudi Arabia, Russia and 6 other key members of the OPEC Plus alliance are expected to agree to further hike oil production in a virtual meeting on Sunday as the group continues to seek greater market share. Analysts predict a slight output hike when the group of 8 oil-producing countries, known as the Voluntary 8, hold their online meeting. But faced with growing competition, particularly from US shale oil producers, gaining a larger share of the oil market has become the group's main priority. Let's turn to sports. India will take on South Africa in the summit clash of the Women's Cricket World Cup in Navi Mumbai today. Both teams are on the cusp of history as they chase elusive trophy. India are set to play their third ODI World Cup finals after 2005 and 17, while South Africa are appearing for their maiden finals. DD India's Suchitra has sent this ground report.
After a month of intense competition among 8 teams, the Women's Cricket World Cup has reached its pinnacle. Host India will face South Africa in the summit clash as both teams chase elusive trophy. India started the tournament with 2 consecutive wins but then lost 3 matches, making it difficult for themselves to reach the semi-finals. However, they defeated New Zealand in a do-or-die match and secured the semi-final spot. In the last 4 clash, India achieved the highest target in the tournament, defeating 7-time world champions Australia by 5 wickets. Batters Smriti Mandhana and Jemimah Rodriguez are in splendid forms, while Deepti Sharma has made significant contributions.
This match is more important because keeping yourself balanced and focus is something which is the key, and we are having those sessions where we have been talking about how we can be more focused and more balanced, and at the same time keeping ourselves relaxed because this is the biggest stage and biggest opportunity for us playing in home condition, and that also final match.
On the other hand, South Africa had a very poor start. They were bundled out for just 69 runs in their first match against England. However, the team bounced back and managed to reach the semi-finals. South Africa defeated England by 125 runs in the last 4 to book a berth in the summit clash. South Africa's Laura Wolvaardt is the tournament's top scorer with 470 runs, while Nadine de Klerk has bailed out the team on several occasions.
I think knockout cricket is completely different to league cricket. I think, like we've seen, I think people are able to do some very special things in knockout games, like we saw from Jamie the other night. So I think, starts totally afresh. I don't think we're going to be looking into our group game against them. We know we have to play some really good cricket. They're a really strong side and have just come off of a really good game as well, so they'll be high on confidence.
In the bilateral clashes, the 2 teams have faced each other 34 times. India have won 20 games and South Africa 13, with 1 match ending without result. The 2 teams have faced each other 6 times in the ODI World Cup, with both teams winning 3 matches each. In the last 5 ODIs, India have won 4 matches, while South Africa came out victorious in the league stage of this edition. Rain could play a spoil sport, hence Monday has been designated as a reserve day.
South Africa has entered the Women's One-Day World Cup final for the first time, while India has made it to the final twice in 2005 and 2017, but they lost on both occasions. Now we'll have to see if India gets 3rd time lucky and becomes world champion for the first time in front of their home crowd. With camera person Ashish Sharma, this is Suchitra reporting for DD India in Navi Mumbai.
Bollywood's King Khan SRK turned 60 today. From television's Fauji cadet to becoming global superstar, his 30-year journey blends romance, drama and action with many iconic films and a national award for his film Jawan this year. Shah Rukh Khan's legacy shines brighter than ever. DD India's Antara Sinha brings us more.
Bollywood's eternal superstar turns 60. Shah Rukh Khan, often dubbed the King Khan of Bollywood, has built an extensive filmography spanning over 3 decades and a fan base spreading all across the globe. Evolving from a television actor to one of the world's most successful film stars. His journey started on television in the late 1980s with the 23-year-old Delhiite stealing hearts as Lieutenant Abhimanyu Rai in Doordarshan's Fauji, followed by the urban charm of circus. He debuted In Bollywood in 1992 with musical romance Deewana, then the iconic anti-hero twist in Bazigar and Dar. Mid-90s, SRK bloomed into romance's eternal flame. With Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, he became the king of romance, which is still running after 30 years. Dil to pagal hai, kuch kuch hota hai, mohabbatein, kabhi khushi kabhi gum, Veer Zara. Depth called with Devdas as a broken lover and poet. Swadesa's rooted scientist, each a masterpiece of heart and craft. He led the nation in Chak De India and stormed back with films like Pathan and Jawan. In a career milestone, he clinched his first National Film Award for Best Actor in Jawan at the 71st National Awards in 2025. India awarded him with the Padma Shri in 2005, and this year's National Award cements his legacy, along with France's top cultural and civilian honours rounding out the accolades, among various other honours over the years.
Happy birthday to the Badshah of Bollywood. Thank you for teaching us love, respect and romance.
Shah Rukh, wishing you a very happy birthday. क्योंकि हार के जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं. ऑन रील भी और रियल लाइफ में भी. बड़े-बड़े देशों में ऐसी छोटी बातें होती रहती है सेन्योरिटा.
मैं तुम्हें भूल नहीं सकता नैना. Happiest birthday SRK.
Every cinema loving heart, every Bollywood loving heart carries a piece of Shah Rukh Khan in their being. Here's wishing Shah Rukh Khan a very
At 60, Shah Rukh Khan, from a TV cadet to a global Badshah, proves that some stars only shine brighter and brighter. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Shah Rukh crazy fans everywhere. But that's all in this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan this QR code on the screen and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.